All right. Well, greetings and salutations. I hope people are able to find the live stream. We're having technical difficulties backstage with my friend Brian, and we deleted it and then I reset it up. So I don't know. We'll see tonight if I make it live or not. Welcome to our live stream. My name is Dean Tinney. I'm the Series 7 Guru. We're here to answer any questions you may have, and I apologize for our technical difficulties backstage. So hopefully people will find us on YouTube or find us on Facebook, and we'll be able to go about our business. We'll see. If you are here, I see that we do have a couple people. You can just let me know that that you see me, the audio is working, and we'll go about our business. I'll go ahead and go right into, oh my goodness, I just realized we had some comments already that have poof on poof. So hopefully those people who have some comments can come on back and help us out. There we go. Thank you so much, Mason. So let's just go ahead and get some of our housekeeping done. There's everybody. It looks like everybody's figured it out. So that's good news. All right. Adapt and overcome, right? Adapt and overcome. All right, so let's take care of some housekeeping. You are not alone. If you are looking to join a community or a test-taking tribe, we have several of them. We have a Facebook community. It is the most active Facebook community out there. We have coming up on 2,600 members, and it's called Baby Brokers Doing Hat Tricks. Baby Brokers is a term of endearment for rookies in the securities industry, and a hat trick is 3 successes in a row. Think here SIE 766 or SIE 663. You get the idea. We also have Reddit communities. We have a Reddit community for the Series 6, R Series 6. We have a Reddit community for the SIE and Series 7, R Series 7. We have a Reddit community for 63, 65, R 66. And we have a Reddit community for 9s, 10s, and 24s, R Series 24. If you are looking for a free supplement to your paid study materials, well, you should check out the YouTube channel. It's the only completely free supplement to your paid study materials. I've organized the channel with series playlists. So you find SIE, for example, and there's a podcast series that gives you a nice view of the terrain overview. Then there's lectures, there's practice tests. Those playlists are in suggested order, and the videos in the playlists are in suggested watch order. So that's like a buffet. If you want to binge, that's the best way to do it. Now, if you're looking for a particular topic, we have over 2,200 videos. Oh, my goodness. And you don't want to be looking for a needle in a haystack. So if you're looking for a particular topic, use that channel search bar. Go, put accrued interest in there or margin, whatever the case may be, and that content will magically appear for you. So that's the way to use the channel. If you're looking for a paid supplement, there's no better paid supplement than a Kaplan QBank if you don't already have it. You can use my Guru 15 discount code for any Kaplan product and services, but I think the QBank is a must-have as a supplement. And then Brian, as I mentioned, is usually here, our VIP guest. He's with Test Geek, and he's been kind enough to give us a 20% discount, our viewers, on his content. And he is a master at distillation between your paid study materials and what actually is on the test. And that's called Test Geek. And that discount code is Guru20. Kind of something recent here. I'm completely booked to the end of the year and just past the first of the year with tutoring. And I just don't have any slots available. And I still want to make sure that people have access. So I've added some free stuff. I don't usually do free stuff on the booking page. But tomorrow there's a coaching call that I've opened up for 4 more slots. I usually do 6 slots. If you win the drawing tonight, that's what you qualify for, is the coaching call. You don't win tutoring at a date and time of your choice. So if you go there, you'll find the coaching call tomorrow. I've opened up a couple more slots for that, and I've made it so you don't have to win the drawing tonight. I also have added a weekly Q&A session. That is free if you want to join us for a weekly Q&A. Where's my little banner for that thing? There it is. That's there for you. And I've also allowed access to my office hours, which is usually for paid students. So to find those free things on the booking page, just go to deantinneytutoring.setmore.com and you can find all that good stuff. All right, let's see. I think we've taken care of some housekeeping. One thing that did come up, I thought that was very interesting, is Paramount Skydance made a tender offer to Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders at $30 a share cash. There's all kinds of test questions around that. One test question on your SIE on corporate action is about tender offers. Tender offers have to remain open for 20 days. So as a shareholder of Warner Brothers Discovery, you can decide whether or not you want to accept the $30 in cash or wait perhaps 18, 24 months for what the board has recommended. You can't short into the tender offer. Very testable. So you call me and say, hey, Dean, I love this $30 cash offer per share for Warner Brothers Discovery, and I'd like to borrow the shares in tender. I go, you must have missed that. You can't short into the tender because assuming the tender is successful, there'll be no Warner Brothers Discovery stock left. I like what David Ellison said. He said one of the things he was kind of pissed off about was the board did not respond to his cash offer. And he said he had texted Zasloff and said, this is not my final offer. We could do even better. And he didn't hear anything from him. He got no response, which he thought was disrespectful. Test question. The board now has to respond, or I should say the company, Warner Brothers Discovery, has to respond to this tender offer within 10 days and tell you what they think of the offer. So if nothing else, we'll get a response from that offer. Then one last test question. There are people who like to engage in what's called arbitrage, profiting from price discrepancies. The discrepancy between the $30 and the $26 current market price. And typically what you would do if you're going to do arbitrage that relates to this kind of a situation is you would short the Paramount stock and go long the Warner Brothers Discovery. Arbitrage is profiting from price discrepancies, and usually it involves a long and a short position in the stock. So anyways, I thought it was pretty interesting. I thought I'd pass that on to you as a current event with some testable topics around it. All right, let's see if we got some comments here, and we'll start going through some comments. I apologize if I wiped out your existing comments. This is a new live stream, not the one that was scheduled. It told me I don't know what button I hit. I absolutely wiped it out. So if you had something in the earlier chat, you need to re-enter it. All right, everything good. Thank you, Mason. I appreciate that. I on the fly reset back up the live stream. So I'm continuously getting mid to high 60s on my test exams and 130 question Q banks on Kaplan. Am I in good standing for the exam in a couple of days? Yeah, I personally would like it in the 70s, but as a betting person, I think you're going to make your mark. So I think you should be able to make your mark on that. I do, when I did a class, I tell the story quite a bit because I think it's good for the statistics. We do Monday through Thursday. They do a practice test Friday. They're testing on the actual exam on Monday. There's 20 people in the cohort, and 12 of them got over 70. And I said to the corporate trainer, I think all 20 of them are going to get pass. That leaves us 8. 6 of the 8 remainder had over 60. Now, I said 3 of those 60% people, 3 of the 6, are not going to pass. And she goes, well, who are they? And we'll save them. I said, well, it's statistics. If we knew which 3 they were, we would save them. There's no reason for that. If they didn't get wobbly and they kept in, here's the thing for you. If they stayed the course and they finished strong, they would all pass. But what's going to happen is some of these people over the weekend are going to get wobbly, start second guessing themselves, and we're going to lose 3 of them would be my guess based on statistics. I was so proud because they all passed. We went 6 for 6 on the people who got between 60 and 70. So there you go, right? I think you can pass. It's more about psyche than it is knowledge, but I would like you to be in the mid-70s. So, but it is what it is. I would encourage you to test, by the way. I don't think you should be rescheduling based on having a high 60. Now, just to finish the story, we had 2 people below 60. I just had this happen at a tutoring session today, and I had to say, listen, we got to reschedule. You don't have enough base knowledge. You're not getting even 60s on practice exams. And that means you don't know enough to know what you're being asked, and you don't know what answers are being offered to you. So what you need to do is lay some more base. Now, if she wants to spend the money, we can do that together, laying base, but usually tutoring should be to fix little gaps you have in your knowledge or stuff like that. So I think you're in good shape. Long answer to a short question. Was supposed to take the 66 today. Yeah, I don't like this. I'm just not ready. I would have encouraged you to go. You said you're getting 60%. And, 60, you can add, there's a variances in your favor depending on your vendor. the variance would be anywhere from 5 to 12 points, perhaps, on Kaplan. So yeah, you would have been at risk. What chapters to harp on the most? Well, if you've rescheduled, you should, go through the whole thing again. But I would point out to you on the regulatory part of it, disclosures, unethical business practices, and then investment vehicles. Surprisingly, people who miss the 66, who have a 7, there's no reason for them not to have a PEP in this step. They should. There's no reason for them not to. However, you'd be surprised. It's actually the investments that do them in. The way they ask things is a little different. For example, let me just get my banners. You experience this on your Series 7. You probably didn't know it, but you did. But the 66 comes at it with a different direction and a different language. So let me just give you an example of this, Jason. Boom. What is duration, right? So it's just the fancy word for volatility on 65 and the 66. You wouldn't answer this question about duration any differently than you would if it was, some other question. I tell you, I hate when I'm coming to you from a software package that recently got bought out. Now they've changed everything, and what I'm starting to say, leave my stuff alone. I don't want the upgrade. I don't want the updates. But anyway, so you answered the same way in terms of longer or higher duration, more volatility, long and low, right? The bond with the longest maturity, that's where you go first in the question, just like you would have on your 7, except in 7 it was called volatility. And then the lowest coupon, long and low, right? Same question, just different language, right? And it's a fancier language, I would tell you. For example, that's called, that concept of that being a nonlinear relationship is convexity. So, that can throw you for a loop if you're, coming from your 7. There's enough makes you familiar, and I think a dangerous way where you go, oh yeah, I know this, and it comes at you as I just mentioned a different way. So standing for a good standing for the exam in a couple of days, yeah, I think you should go. Right. Today, I think we just talked about that. All right, woohoo! I don't know if Brandon is here. Brandon. When we what we do is we toast testing victories, Mason. And Brandon had pointed out that he thought this was a wonderful tequila, and him and I were talking about it. And I'll be damned, some test taker actually sent this to me, and gift or gratuity doesn't apply. And Brandon, I think I'm going to like it. I haven't tried it yet, but look at this. The topper is actually a little like shot glass. So a lot of marketing goes into alcohol, right? So I'm going to be very disappointed if it's all this bottle and this little thing. And let's see. Let me get my glass so I can toast Mason's testing victory. And let's see. I should say I have pretty high standards. So, Brandon, if you're watching, don't be hurt if I don't, think it's as great as you thought it was. Cheers, Mason. It's pretty damn good. And I've added to the mix. We now light a victory cigar for you, Mason. And this is a Rocky Patel white label. Rocky tried to come up with what he wanted to do, which is a medium but still flavorful cigar. And so let's get that going. Boom. I didn't gotta open it up. All right. Woohoo. Friday before Thanksgiving. Love it, love it, love it. I took my SIE for the first time last week and passed. Woohoo. I should tell you, I'm pretty blessed. How blessed am I? I'll tell you. I went into my cigar lounge and I told Steve, I said, hey, I'm interested in the Patron, the 4000s. I said, how come you got the 3 and you got the 5, but you don't have the 4? And then he said, Dean, you already bought the box 2 weeks ago. I go, oh, I got it in my humidor already. So, I'm glad to hear that. I don't overthink it. I don't do hashtags. I don't do any clever stuff. It's a pretty simple a proposition, right? If I can add some value, we can contribute to your testing victory. I think you're happy. You give us referrals. We're the #1 YouTube FINRA NASA exam prep channel. We have over 9 million views. And, we don't need anything fancy. All we do is, I think we got there through testing victories and referral from victorious test takers. So I'm always glad to hear that. Donata, my pleasure. I'm always grateful that we can help some folks. I relied heavily on all your content. Love it. The SIE Series 79 and Series 63 passed 3 in 3 months. Woo! I love that. At Golden River Trout. Well, that sounds pretty cool. I don't know if you're like a fisherman or you lead a leader of fishermen. That sounds pretty cool. Studying for the 7-2. All right. Yeah, I have lots of explicate exams, lots of free stuff. My channel is the only channel that's completely free. I told you my booking page is not. Listen, I probably had haters before I was in social media. I just didn't know they were out there. But I had somebody who said they think I give people a 15% discount on Kaplan as an inducement to get them to use me for tutoring, which is just ridiculous. I mean, I'm completely booked until through the first couple of weeks of January at $375 an hour. I don't need to give anybody an inducement. And the second thing I told this hater, I said, listen, I'm already rich. I did pretty well in the securities industry, so I don't need to do anything, and I don't need to charge people if I don't want to. 7879. All right, Samuel. First take, 94 on the redoing shuffled exams, looking to book that for now. I love it. Knopman's the #1. It hurts my heart a little bit, Samuel, because it's Knopman Marks, and Knopman has retired, and Brian Marks is just a hell of a guy. And they are certainly #1 when it comes to Series 79. I have their permission. I don't know if Samuel, you were the one I was talking to, but I do have permission from Knopman to put a 79 practice test up on the playlist for the 79. I just haven't got around to it yet. And if it was you, I think if it's not you, I don't know if I'm going to have that done in a timely fashion. The person I was talking to today, I think they were testing in 2 days, and there's just no way I'm going to be able to get that up in 2 days. Just saw you were live. Well, thank you, Ashley. Thank you. All right. Woohoo. Look at all those testing. Woohoo. I love it. Recommendations and referrals is what gets us to 9 million views. And my wildest dreams, we're coming up on our 5th year anniversary of the channel. I never thought my wildest dreams there'd be 9 million people. Actually, I don't think it's 9 million people. It might be one person watching the same video 9 million times, but never thought of that. I didn't even know how to monetize a YouTube channel. All I knew how to do is hit play and record. And, I hit play and record. And unbeknownst to me, I had all kinds of people tell me, nobody's going to watch 3-hour videos or hour-long videos. And I said, well, I only can do what I know how to do. Now we're diversified in terms of lengths and stuff. But come to find out, YouTube loves that. Right? So keep you on the channel for a while. So 79. Going to post any video this week, so I just don't think I'm gonna be able to do it, Samuel. I don't know how to answer that. Do I have any advice? Yeah, I guess I would say don't get too bogged down in the accounting. For example, in the Knopman practice test, there are 2 hellacious exhibit questions on accounting. And when I do that, Samuel, when I put that up on the channel, I skip those and make those separate videos. But in the real testing environment, I would say, depending on your background, now, if you're a finance guy or you're in a CPA or something, maybe those points are something you can grab rather easily. But I think I would have guessed B and assigned those in the universe. So when I make that video, I'll probably just say that, right? I say, listen, if you're not a finance person or accounting person and you run into this, make sure you have a margin of safety. Guess B assigned to the universe, make it up elsewhere. So don't think that the accounting is going to be material to your success or not. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying I think people think it's a lot more accounting than it really actually is. Well, hello. You are welcome. You are welcome. There we are. Love it. Franklin, love it. Victory 3-0 begins with 2-0. That's exactly correct, right? And so we got one more to do. Victory 3-0 continues with 2-0. I love it. So you got one more leg of your testing journey to get that hat trick, right? Hat trick is 3 successes in a limited time frame. Love it. Woohoo! Well, I guess I think we got 2 rings, right? I think Yasha's 2-0 means he just tested. All right. So let me the first roll of tequila is 100% blue agave. And I can't believe this would not be 100% blue agave, but it tastes awful sweet. And it's making me wonder if this has any kind of okay, 100% blue agave, huh? I wonder what's making it so sweet. They must put it in some kind of a bourbon barrel or something. Pass my 7. Woohoo! So my cigars, I don't have that rhythm of my cigar and my tequila right over. 9, 10, 8 tips. Yeah, sales supervision. So 9, I don't think is about advanced option strategies. Are they there? Yes, but it's mainly sales supervision. And the 10, Christopher, I hate to say this, is a real slog. It's a lot of stuff. People ask me what I think the hardest exams are. I put the 10 right up there, not because of its complexity, just because of the slog that it is. It's just a lot of stuff, right? So, and I don't want to put out negative energy, Christopher, but whether it's 9, 10, or 24, assuming you're just not going 7, 9, 10 or 7, 24, because some people do, they're hired for compliance. But the people who are at risk on 9 and 10 or 24 are typically people who have been in the business a long time, have a 7, and they work in packaged products, mutual funds. And then they get tapped on the shoulder and say they've got to do a 24, 9, or 10, and now they're dealing with something they haven't dealt with in years. So I don't lose many people in 9, 10 classes and 24 classes, but when I do, that's what they have in common, that they're packaged product persons. And banking and trading is just something that's, options are just something that's they're not familiar with, which means they just got to spend more time laying lots of base. Did I miss that? Let's see. What is the hat trick? A hat trick is 3 successes in a limited time frame. So somebody says they did a hat trick. That's 3 successes in a limited time frame. Our Facebook community is called Baby Brokers Doing Hat Tricks. Baby Brokers, term of endearment for rookies in the securities industry. Hat trick is 3 successes. Here, 3 testing victories. In hockey, I think I'm not a hockey guy. I think it's like an assist and a goal or whatever, right? In ours, it would be SIE 766 or SIE 663, whatever that case. What is the difference between go bonds and income bonds? Oh, my goodness. This question is worrisome to me. And it's worrisome because that means you really don't know how to sort things out. You're getting tested on 3 different issuers of debt securities. The 3 issuers you're getting tested on are corporate issuers of debt securities, municipal issuers of debt securities, and the U.S. government as issuers of debt securities. So a GO bond, a GO bond, is a type of muni bond. There's only 2 types of muni bonds, very testable. The 2 types of muni bonds are GO, general obligation bonds, backed by the taxing authority, on the local level, city, county, school district, property taxes, on the state level, income taxes. And revenue bonds that are backed by user fees. If you are taking a Series 7, I highly recommend you take a sheet of paper, you fold it in half, and on one side write all the terms associated with GOs, and on the other, all the terms associated with revenue bonds, because that's a big part of what you're going to be tested on. Income bond doesn't belong in this category at all. An income bond is a type of corporate bond. And the one thing income bonds don't do, test question, is pay income. Income or adjustment bonds only pay interest when and if earned. They're used in bankruptcies and restructurings. They trade flat. No calculation of accrued interest, right? And then the idea here is that retail investors shouldn't be investing in distressed securities, right? So income bonds, one thing they don't do is they don't pay income, right? So a huge difference, different issuers, different bonds. They don't even belong in the same bucket, so to speak. At 70% on past perfect, that's excellent. I think that drawdown, I think that's fine, right? Because past perfect is actually tougher, I think, than Kaplan. But anytime you change vendor, this because of phraseology, the scores are going to drop. So I wouldn't be too worried about that, right? 10 days, you're fine. You are absolutely fine. There's no reason to be worried. You're 10 days out, a 70 on past perfect. As I mentioned earlier, the variance is going to be in your favor. So, a 70 on past perfect is anywhere from 75 plus on the actual exam, and the 64 on Kaplan, again, 5% variance is 69. 10 days out, I am not worried about you at all. Oh, well, there you go. Revenue bonds. Well, I just gave you the big difference. Revenue bonds are user fees, very testable. One of my favorite signs when I'm traveling, particularly at an airport, when I go to the airport, there's a sign out front that says, your taxpayer dollars not at work. You're not paying for the airport. Somebody else is, the users, right? And the risk of default is the user fees are insufficient. So that's a big deal, right? If it's property taxes or income taxes, it requires voter approval. Revenue does not, right? So there's all kinds of terms that go with revenues that don't go with GOs and vice versa. Very tough. I felt bad. There's a hospital in Flagstaff. Mom, unfortunately, broke her hip, and I had to take her to the Flagstaff Medical Center. It's a hospital. And the CEO of the hospital can't get people to understand that he wants to build a new hospital and he wants to use revenue bonds, and people are bitching about taxes. And he's not being able to articulate them. Your taxpayers are not being used. This hospital has about 172 acres. The hospital is financed through user fees, and we want to issue revenue bonds. And so, I'm sympathetic to his plight because, obviously the residents of the community don't understand the difference between revenue bonds and GO bonds. Q banks are not as accurate as judging by your master exam in Kaplan. Well, I'm not sure I would agree with that, Just Kane. I mean, the mastery is designed to kind of give you an idea whether you're going to pass or not. And again, the variance is the same between the mastery. When Kaplan could track scores, in other words, when you passed in the days you passed, you got a score. Now you only get a score if you fail. But when you could track it, it was about 5 to 12 was the range test question. If you're taking a 65, 66 range was between 5 and 12, right? Don, how are you, my friend? You didn't toast early? What? I didn't toast your victory? That can't be. That cannot be. All right. Well, let me take care of that. I got to get my accoutrements ready here. Boop. I got to do some homework on this tequila. I got to figure out why it's so sweet. I'm not sure I like the sweetness or don't like the sweetness. Wow. Ah. And 63, love it. Now on to the 6. I love it, love it, love it. You're one of my favorites. We have favorites, people who, participate in our, Tuesdays. And best advice. So, sweet Melissa, here's what I would say. And Don, you're taking the 6 as well. One of the reasons I want you to have a strong victory on your SIE is because there is a lot of overlap from the SIE to the Series 6. I think it's very possible for someone who's aced the SIE to pass out of a Series 6. Now, that being said, make sure you pay attention to variable annuities, retail communication, customer accounts. So every test you should show at the proper level of respect. But I think both ladies, you're going to discover that a lot of that stuff looks familiar. A little more in depth on the NAV and the POP, and the breakpoints. There shouldn't be anything, I think, as you do your review for your 6, that you go, oh my God, I've never heard of that before. I think it's going to be the same stuff, a little more depth on the mutual funds and the variable annuities, but I think you're in good shape. Well, the 3 biggest areas on the test are function 3, providing basic product information to customers. I mean, the Series 7, I think one of the reasons I think it's, not as difficult perhaps as other exams is there is a narrative thread to it. There are 4 job functions, critical functions to being a broker. Those critical functions are find a customer, open an account, make an investment, what happens afterward. Now, I joke as stockbrokers, we get paid to find money, move money, and place money, and we don't really get paid to find the money or to move the money. We only get paid when we place the money into an investment. Those investment questions, about 20 on options, plus or minus 5, and then you answer your question, munis, 20 plus or minus 5, and mutual funds, 20 plus or minus 5. So you're looking at 60 questions on options, munis, and mutuals. I don't know why this comes up because it's just stupid. Why would you want to take a 65 and have 130 questions instead of 100? And I've heard all kinds of people. FINRA originally came up with the 66 because people were pissed that they were taking a 63 and a 65. And FINRA said, to make everybody's life easier who has a 7, why don't you just take a 66? I would only think of the 65 as a plan B. What I mean by a plan B is if for some reason, that's happened quite a bit. And if firms say they can't do it, it's not true. So the guy works at Edward Jones and I was tutoring him. And, sometimes people, for whatever reason, he knew the information. And Vince, I don't know if Vince is still around. If you're in the chat, Vince, you're welcome to chime in here. But both Vince and this guy said, listen, very rarely as a tutor am I surprised when you don't make your mark. I've talked to you enough. I know you put in the work, and for whatever reason, you missed your mark on the 66. So here's what I mean about plan B. Take the 66. But as a plan B, I said to Vince, I know you know this stuff well enough. Why don't you take a 63? This was a Thursday. Take it Monday. It's the same stuff. The Uniform Securities Act was the Uniform Securities Act. I think you can test out of that on Monday. And then take a 65 on Friday, and you're back in business. So I would use that as a plan B. Maybe you already have a 63, so you don't have to do that. If you miss the 66, just take a 65. But I think 65 should be a plan B. Plan A should be 66. Pass my 7. Woo! Third attempt. Lauren, I just love that. I love that because, listen, we went to the pass the first time, but that means Lauren actually passed 2 tests, her Series 7, and then a test of her resiliency. So kudos to you. You deserve a toast in your honor for sure. We have so many people. My best broker took the test. Where's my letter? 5 times, Lauren. And he used to go out to people and say, hey, Lauren, if anybody knows this stuff, it's me. I had to take the damn test 5 times. I think proof that people invest with you because they like you and they trust you. They don't invest with you, you can pass a test. Lauren, there's a guy who, as a tutor, brags about having scored a 94 in the Series 7. And I, Lauren, think the opposite. I think, oh my God, why would I want to hang out with this guy? I used to, Lauren, joke with my brokers in the office. Listen, you get over 90, I'm going to fire you immediately. For 2 reasons. One, because you've only proven that you're a bigger jerk as the person who wrote the test. And secondly, how I'm going to supervise you if you're 1 step ahead of me. So kudos. Welcome to the securities industry. Would you have your 63 still to do or your 66? Let us know. Are you done or you still got 1 more testing victory to go? Well, no, I don't know I wouldn't say that. I think the best value is to go to class first, right? So I didn't say tutoring isn't for someone that's a beginner. I just said, I think you should lay some base. In my case, I'm $375 an hour. I'm not sure you want to spend $375 an hour in tutoring. And there's no substitute for doing the work. I just told you, like the person I'm working with, you should read the book and you should do the work. And I think tutoring should be used to plug any gaps you have. Now, have I had private equity, venture capital, hedge fund billionaires who literally pay me to walk them through the entire test, 40 hours at $375 and put me up in a corporate apartment? Yes. Do I think that's the best way to go? Well, in their case, maybe that time is worth the trade-off. But I think tutoring is not the thing. I would prefer people try and lay the base, go to a class. What a deal, right? If you join me next January for Kaplan Series 7 class, that's 3 days. And it's going to cost you, I don't know, $300. You get 3 days with me and you get before and after class, you get office hours. So I think class is the better economic value. Did some tutoring coaching calls with you a couple of weeks ago. Well, there we go. And here, woohoo! I have to pass perfect. Yeah. I always joke that we should start a pass perfect support group. Pass perfect. Oh my God. They take you into the weeds. You know, I think it's better to have too much than not enough. So in my opinion, pass perfect is fat on the content. In my opinion, training consultants exam FX is too skinny. So given skinny versus fat, I'll take fat, right? Because that means you got too much stuff there. And, I better to be that than not enough. I think SDC, Kaplan, Knopman kind of hit that nice median. There you go. Should I get extra? Yeah, I would supplement. At least supplement with the Kaplan QBank. And here's why. If you can't decide if it's a crazy past perfect question, if you have a Kaplan QBank, you can use it for what I call confirmation, right? I had a young lady and she's doing past perfect for Series 7. And she paid for tutoring to do her practice questions together for margin on past perfect. I felt bad because she's not going to see any of those questions on the actual exam. So that kind of stuff just drives me nuts. In fact, she gave me permission, and it's in the tutoring replay channel as hellacious questions that you're never going to see for margin, right? So, and in her case, it was locked learning. They wouldn't actually let her move on to the next unit until she actually, got that unit done. So crazy. So yes, I think you should supplement. Either supplement with the Kaplan QBank or consider Brian's Test Geek supplement. That's $100, and he has videos that walk you through the whole thing. Again, you would be using that for confirmation, and he also has a nice practice exam as well. We deal with the more qualified here at Wally. We're talking about the 66. Just kidding. I'm not sure what your deal is. Are you a tutor? Or are you talking about 66? I'm not sure what you mean by that. So the company I'm trying to work for has us take the 6. I don't understand that. Jason, I heard that. That's wild. I'm not sure. Is it because they're not sponsoring you for the 66 and you're out of pocket on that? I just don't think that makes a lot of sense. It makes me, Jason, suspect of your firm that if they're doing that, maybe it's one of those firms where, it's on you to get all your licensing done. Yeah, I don't like that. It doesn't speak to me at all on any level, Jason, because that's what I thought. I didn't read the rest of your thing there. Spending the money to sponsor us. Listen, if you're hungry, you got to do what you got to do. I mean, I started out with, a full commission model. I get it. But ideally, you would take the 7, you do it the order that it's set up to be done. SIE to lay the base, then the 7 to lay a little more base, and then you go on to the 66. But hey, it is what it is, right? Really, Kaplan, we got to chapter 20. I feel like 1 to 20 are much harder than the QBank questions. I'm not sure if I would agree with that. Exam average is QBank is 76. Have I heard of this before? Well, I wouldn't worry about this because the QBank questions, the exam questions are harder than the QBank questions. The simulated exams is what you want to pay attention to, not the chapter quizzes. The chapter quizzes are just to determine whether you're ready to move on to the next chapter. And people get stuck on that. They keep doing chapter unit quizzes. They don't get to the finals. About 7-10 days out, you really shouldn't be doing chapter quizzes, right? I told you the person I'm working with, I said, listen, you need to lay more base. Right now, you're not prepared to be doing a practice test. When people get bad scores on practice tests, I don't know why they keep repeating something that isn't working. And so, whether it's the person today or, I had a person last week and they're getting the same scores. I said, well, this is ridiculous. You don't have enough base knowledge. You need to put practice tests away. You need to read the unit, watch a video to put a dent in the reading, or do the reading and then watch a video to consolidate the reading. And then you need to do a custom quiz. Here we go. Custom quiz, 20 questions. If you get a 70, move on. If you don't, you got to remediate. And then when you get a 70, move on. You're not doing practice tests until you're about 7 days out. You're not doing to learn. You're doing to get them a mark so we know whether we have a margin of safety or not, and to identify areas for remediation. So I haven't heard of that before, but I'm not worried about it. The thing to be paying attention to is the practice tests. There you go. I think we did that one already. Yeah, it came through on my YouTube glitch. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I am so aggravated with companies that do this. I have something that works for me. I'm happy with it. And then they sell out to another company. And then that company starts offering me, like they offered me how I could look vertical while I'm doing this. I go, no, I just want to do what I've been doing for 4 years. Leave me alone. I don't want to upsell. I think I hit the button for, I don't want the the vertical cut and paste thing that they offered me. And I think I accidentally killed the live stream. So yeah, there you go. Oh, well, thank you so much, Jeff. Taking 65 January 31st. We're currently reading a chapter today. Love it. Doing quizzes. Love it. Listening to audiobook. Love it. Yeah, do a live class. Certainly. Why not? If you have the resources, you have the time, I'm a big fan. So yeah, go take a live class. If you can get Mark Esposito, my brother from another mother. I like Mark. All the Kaplan instructors are good, but Mark is one of my favorites. It's a party now. There you go. Recently finished the 66 and wanted to say thank you. Woo! All right. Well, Cookie, you're at a legendary institution, right? Living legend. I probably told you the story. We do a Guru Nation monthly book club. And I try and pick books that are appropriate to our industry, and maybe they have some testable content. We did Shoe Dog about Phil Knight and the founding of Nike. Can you believe this, Cookie? Phil Knight couldn't meet payroll, and his employees said, my parents have their life savings, and they're so committed to what we're doing here that they'd be willing you to loan this money to meet payroll. And Phil Knight saying, I don't know if I want to take money from, this mom and dad. And he took the money and he gave them Nike stock that ended up being worth like $200 million. I love that. Another book we did here recently was Michael Dell's memoir. And he has a story about JP Morgan. And you had a legendary banker at JP Morgan. And he had died. He was in charge of syndicated loans. And Michael Dell was saying he was doing this acquisition. He didn't have the financing completely in place. And he was worried about this guy no longer being around. He said, I like the entire team there, including the younger members of the team, but I'm flying to Boston. I don't quite have the financing, in place. And, and if you're not paying in stock, it makes sense. Michael Dell doesn't want to pay in stock because it would dilute him. He said he gets there and, he's worried about the meeting and who on the team at JP Morgan is showing up. And he says, Jamie Dimon shows up. And Jamie Dimon says to Michael Dell, he says, hey, I know we've gone through a little bit of a, dramatic situation here at JP Morgan. And is it okay if I join you for today's meeting? He said, yeah. And he said, when they were in the meeting and the conference thing, I just love the story. This is a legendary, banking story, right? And they said the company, the target company said to Michael Dell, do you have the financing? And he said, I was ready to, go into hemming and hawing and we're working on it. And then all of a sudden he said, Jamie Dimon just popped up and said, he's got the financing. Then they just moved on. And if you were ever going to try and steal Michael Dell from JP Morgan, probably not going to happen. 66. No worries. Any advice? Well, Tuesday, you still have some time to continue to work, Giovanni. So if I were your corporate trainer, this is Tuesday, you're going Monday. I would want at least 2 or 3 more marks on practice tests just to confirm that we're where we need to be, which for me would be like mid 70s. You have time to lay some more base, but for all intents and purposes, your, the execution of your study plan is over on Sunday. And then you just got to get a good night's sleep. So the biggest thing for this week is to be confident in the execution of your study plan, be confident in yourself, and most importantly, be confident in your answers on Monday. I'd like 2 or 3 more practice tests. SIE tomorrow, where Edward, as we just said, make sure you get a good night's sleep. Sleep is, you got to be rested. I don't know about you, but I'm tired. My reading skills are greatly diminished, and you want to have your reading skills in top form. So same thing I just said, be confident in the execution of your study plan because it's over. Be confident in yourself, and most importantly tomorrow, be confident in your answers. Don't be changing answers. Don't be kissing up. Don't be going, what if they meant? They don't. Right? Just take the question and answer it. Aim and shoot, point and click, matriculate down the field into scoring position, passing. I love your picture there. Are you a former professional baseball player? That doesn't look like an amateur there. That looks like a pro. All right. Woo! There you go. Well, thank you. All right. Woo! Lots of testing. I love it. Love it. Yeah, I might go through a little bit of tequila tonight. That is, I had somebody recommend me this Whistle Pig bourbon, and I like bourbon as well. But same thing, it was sweet. And, I'm just not used to like a sweet tequila, bourbon sweet because it's corn and but it was sweeter than I like. So like I'm going back to Scotch. 6 and 63. Well, everybody's different, Israel. Everybody's different. So I don't know. I told you, I think the 6 after that, this is just me. And then I would negotiate with you. If I were your corporate trainer, you just finished your SIE. I'd say, well, Israel, how much do you think you need for a 6? I wouldn't give you more than 2 weeks. I would encourage you to, if this is Monday, we're having a discussion, I want you to take your 6 on Wednesday. Because of what I said, it's not unfamiliar material or shouldn't be based on your SIE. I'd be willing to negotiate if you were, I would say, Dean, that's incredible. It's impossible. I'd say, well, what do you want? I have a guy I'm working with, and every time we talk about a date, I ask him for an aspirational date when he's going to test, and he always is pushing it like 3-4 days. I'm like, okay, fine. But, if that adds to your comfort and confidence level, I don't have a problem with that. But, and then 63, literally, if it was a discussion, let's say you're going to test your 63 or 6 on Wednesday, I would expect you to have the 63 done the following week. Brandon, there you are. There you go. Yeah, and I love the little. This thing I think is a classy touch. I was showing them earlier. I don't know if you were here, where they got the little like shot. I don't know if it's a shot glass or what you're supposed to do with it. It's got a little bib in there. It was a gift, I guess. Brandon, one of our viewers, he heard you and I talking about it, and they bought me a bottle. So wonderful. 66. All right, let's get it for sure. For sure. I have 70% on just material and past perfect. I think we just talked about that, did we not? No, I don't think so at all. I think I told you, I'd encourage you, Groundhog. I think I answered you earlier, and I was encouraging you to take the test. That's great. There are other people who wish to be where you're at 10 days out. 10 days out, and I'm assuming you're going to devote some more time. I don't know if you're a full-time or part-time studier, but I think you're in great shape. I think I just answered that. Am I going backwards here? You're welcome. It's very gratifying. 3 FINRA, there you go. That's what the hat trick is. As I start my studies, well, Lauren, the first thing I always tell people to do is read the book, cover to cover, and as close to one setting as possible. It's a buffet. Take what you like, leave what you don't. What I like when I'm going to take any kind of a test is the first thing I like to do is read the book, cover to cover, and as close to one setting without taking notes, without highlighting. I've had people, Lauren, show up in class and they've highlighted the entire book. I said, well, I want to buy a different color highlighter and go do that again now that you know what's important. So that's how I would start. Now, I understand that I'm an OG and maybe people don't read books anymore. And one of the reasons Brian and I made our podcast series is to kind of do the same thing, kind of show you what it looks like cover to cover. So if that blows you out and you say, Dean, I'm not going to read the book cover to cover and as close to one setting as possible, why don't you check out our podcast series called Getting Your Kicks on Series 66. And Brian, I think it's 4 or 5 episodes of a podcast that kind of lays out the whole exam for you. So that's another good starting point as well. Yeah, there you go. All right. Woo! Yeah, I wish people would realize that. I mean, a lot of people, I think, get hung up on the math. Green Turtle, I had a guy who bought tutoring for the exam, the 66. And when I hit the link and he shows up, he goes, Dean, I'm not paying you to show me how to do math. I'm a serious math geek. You give me any 2 numbers, I can solve for the third. I said, okay, well, fine. But I make him sound like he has some hubris he doesn't have. And I said, well, I would hate for you to think you're going to run up the score doing math on your 66, because that's not what's going to happen. Now, good news, he passed. But he said, Dean, I wish I would have, just memorized the formulas. He said, a lot of times, as I told you, I'm a math guy, so I could reverse engineer when they said what this describes, current ratio. I could figure it out, but it, would have been more aim and shoot, point click had I just memorized the formula. So, yeah, I think one's a little light. I tell people expect maybe 3 or 4. And it's not going to be complex math. It's usually balance sheet calculations. It's usually going to be input, Not so much can you do the math, but what would be required to do the math, right? Do you understand what goes into calculating future value, present value, number of compounding periods, rate of return, for example, right? I just gave you 3 things. They love the except. All the following are necessary to calculate future value except, right? So that kind of thing. On what date to renew register? Oh, well, I would dream of that. The vast majority of the time, the answer is going to be December 31st. The exception to that would be a securities registration, which is 1 year from the effective date. So I would love to get a bunch of questions like that. There's a new investment advisor represented in the house. All right. Woo! Love that, Samuel. Love that. Yeah, well, thank you, Samuel. I think I've been doing it a long time. I've helped tens and thousands of people, and sometimes I bump into people, and it's an interesting thing. Sometimes, Daniel, it'd be funny. I've had people, I've been like at a restaurant or something the night before a class at like Goldman Sachs or somewhere, and they'll be talking about their instructor the next day, and I'll say, man, that kind of sounds like me. I went to their corporate trainer. I said, hey, listen, will you dial it down a little bit? I'd rather not have such high expectations, right? Let's downplay it a little bit. But kudos. There you go. Interest in getting tutoring. Here's the problem, Penny. As I just said, I think you may come in late. I am completely booked to the first 2 weeks of the year. So what I've done to make sure people still have access is if you go to deantinnery.setmore.com, you won't be able to book tutoring because I have no slots available. But what I have done is open up some of my free stuff. My YouTube channel is completely free. My booking page, there's very few things that are free. But if you go there, you'll find a free coaching call tomorrow for our drawing winners. I've opened that up to people who may want to attend, even if they don't win the drawing. I've opened up the weekly Q&A jam session, which is free. And I've opened up my free office hours for paid students, even though you're not a paid student. So there would be what I would tell you, because you're just not going to find a slot to actually book tutoring at. I should have done that because now I got to find out where it was at. There's Samuel. There's Penny. There you go. And then what I do is just Penny, it's just so you know, I hang out and answer any questions you have. And, we had somebody who wanted to do like a credit call spread or something. And then, it's recorded. And then, I share it with others. Pretty much except the outside, in and outside of, well, there's no such thing as outside of the money cosmetic quiz. It's out of the money. And it's not a chart. It's a relationship of the strike price to the market price. I wouldn't worry about in the money and out of the money, except you should know that if at expiration, the contract is in the money, has intrinsic value, it will be exercised. So I'm under no obligation to tell you that it's an Apple 250 call and at expiration, Apple's 262, that you are, should know that's going to get exercised. A client wants a cosmetic whiz and they said, I choose not to be exercised. And I go, well, you're a little confused, my friend. You're short. You got to deliver, right? And then out of the money at expiration, the contract's going to expire, worthless. So that's the main thing is when they say at expiration, the stock is at. I wouldn't worry about time value at all. I don't have any tips or memory aids, but I do have plenty of videos on options. What I would suggest is go into the channel search bar and put intrinsic value in the money. Those are synonymous terms. Intrinsic value in the money. And I think you'll find a couple videos, practice questions of me working in video format. You'll see some tutoring replays. So there's lots of content on that. I think that's something you could shore up. The biggest thing that's important for us, as I've told you, is that they have what I call time clock questions, where they say several weeks later, they close out at intrinsic value, or at expiration, the stock is, and then you got to figure out, what happened. Not a big deal. Not a big deal. If you tell me you missed your mark because of intrinsic value or in the money, I'm going to say, I don't think so. There you go. Checking in on the live stream, Nima, one of my favorite people. Woohoo! Love it, love it, love it. You got one more to do, Nima. Nima was dedicated. He was disciplined. He was organized. He was resilient. All the things I love in a test taker. So, Nima, thanks for joining us. Let's ring the bell for you. Let's go ahead and take a toast in your honor. I had this comment email earlier, and I just feel bad. My channel does cover way more exams than other channels. I used to teach and tutor the Series 3 years ago, and I have a Series 3 content. I just haven't had an opportunity to get it on the channel. Same with the 79. So Nima, I'm not sure when your 3 test date is, but feel free to send me an email or let me know, and maybe I'll try and get something up for you. I have a placeholder for a Series 3 playlist that has nothing in it. So. Purchase an 8% corporate bond at 93, so that's $930. That's the cost basis. It's trading at a discount, so you should be able to know that since this bond was issued, interest rates have gone up, and that's why the bond has gone down. What will the investor receive at maturity? Well, assuming they don't default, they're going to get their principal back, so $1,000. They get their last interest check, so it's $1,040, right? Because it pays semi-annually. So that's why it's $1,040, because you're going to get your principal and the last interest check. The interest check is $40, right? So you got paid semi-annually. So that's why it's not $1,080. $80, remember, is 2 payments of $40. Bonds paid semi-annual. So you get your principal and your last interest. So the principal is $1,000. The last interest payment is $40, hence $1,040. There you go. Just begin. You have content on the laws of war. Of course, I have content on everything, Stevie. So just go to the 66 playlist. You'll find all kinds of stuff. How to CAPM internal rate of return. By the way, I suggest you do that as a test taker. One thing I suggest is you take the acronym and just spell it out when you're getting the question. I accidentally gave away the answer to the guy by spelling it out, and they were asking what. So CAPM is capital asset pricing model. IRR is internal rate of return. I think of the internal rate of return as the bridge between present value and future value. Future value, how do they show up on the test? Well, again, if you put any of these into the channel search bar, you will see many examples of how this gets tested with me giving you a video explanation of how to solve it. So I would put that any of these terms into the channel search bar. You'll find questions that come up. You'll find tutor replays that come up. I don't have a video for insurance products. I have it on variable annuities, but I don't have anything on types of trust. The reason I just don't think it's worth it. I mean, there's not a lot on, whole life versus universal or variable on the test. There's not a whole lot of trust questions. So that's why I haven't done it. Doesn't mean I can't, but I haven't. Got my SIEs, haven't been haunting me. I got a 71 well. That's for your first 2 victories. So you went into the cave to slay the Series 7 dragon. You didn't get him. I don't think that's something that should haunt you. I think it's something that should motivate you. Knowing that Series 7 dragon's still in there. He's waiting on you, Nick. And now you're working on going back into the cave and slaying that dragon, right? So you got to turn the haunting into, no, dragon, I'm going to get you. You don't scare me. I'm coming to get you. I'm coming to get you. Right? I don't like that it's haunting you, because that's not a good place to be. Right? It's not a good place to be. Pass the SIE. Woohoo! Well, I'm not going to drink a big black glass of tequila. Maybe if I had a Lagunitas Maximus beer, maybe I would do that for you. On the way to Series 7. Love it. First attempt. By the way, love it. Wow, we got so many test victorious. Yeah, I know nothing about life insurance, 0. So I joke, insurance agents sell fear, and stockbrokers, we sell greed. Stockbrokers say, hey, Rocco, wouldn't life be wonderful if? And then life insurance agents say, wouldn't life be terrible if? Right now, if you're duly registered, you can sell both fear and greed. Woohoo! Oh my goodness, so many tests and victories. Love it, love it, love it. My cigar, I'm not sure this cigar is a good idea, because I'm not used to multitasking with a cigar and a cocktail. I can do one or the other, I think, is what I'm going to have to do. Full-time police officer. Well, thank you for your service, keeping us safe. I appreciate that. Half my family are robbers and the other half are policemen. So the part of my family that stayed in North Carolina, most of them ended up in prison, and all the ones who came west ended up becoming police officers. Passed the SIE in April. Woohoo! 7 last Tuesday. All right, you got one more victory for the hat trick. All right. You got your 457 in place. 457 shows up on 66. I always think when I think of 457, I think of police officers and firemen, people like that. Nick, I answered this question earlier. I think training consultants, you need to supplement. I think they're a little too skinny on the content. And so I would supplement, whether it's a Kaplan Q Bank, whether that's Brian's Test Geek, whatever that happens to be. How do you go about on your own? Well, you would never, ever, ever, I'm not an attorney, use a sole proprietorship as a business structure to go out on your own. If you're going out on your own, I would tell you that it's going to be difficult on the broker-dealer side. It requires a lot of resources to do it. I've been both a broker-dealer and an investment advisory firm, set those up. It's much easier to set up an investment advisory firm than it is a broker-dealer. And then, LLC or C Corp or however you want to set it up. The first broker-dealer I worked for was an S Corp. My broker-dealer was an LLC, and my investment advisor was an LLC. I can't imagine why you would want to have unlimited liability. So I can't think of, I'm not a regulator, but if you told me you're going to set up a broker-dealer or an investment advisor as a sole proprietorship, I'd say, well, geez, you need some legal help. I think Kaplan, but people don't know. I'm a former senior instructor emeritus at Kaplan, so I don't know what you would think. And I get compensated as an official social media influencer for Kaplan. And so no surprise, I think Kaplan. I think, as I said earlier, Past Perfect's a little too much. STC, I think, is a fine vendor. They just don't have a Q bank, I think, that's as competitive as Kaplan's. I don't think you're at risk with them. But every once in a while, this can happen to all vendors. But every once in a while, somebody gets scores that we think reflect passing the test and they miss their mark. And sometimes it's because they memorized the Q bank and don't understand the content. And that's hard to do at Kaplan just because there's so many practice questions and it's more customizable. So I just think that's what gives Kaplan the edge of the STC. But I'm not worried if you're using Past Perfect or Kaplan or STC. I do get concerned about Achievable, and I'm concerned about Achievable because the variance we've been discussing is too much. That range of scores on Achievable practice tests and the actual exam is too wide for me. I had a person I was working with. They were working very hard, but they weren't getting scores that they thought they deserved on Kaplan. And I had suggested we just got to continue to work. That's what you need to do. You need to continue to work to get to the mid-70s on Kaplan. And then he bought Achievable, and his scores skyrocketed to 85, and he was feeling all good about himself. And I said, well, that's not really a good thing. There shouldn't be a difference between that variance between Kaplan and Achievable. I said, do me a favor, do the Test Geek exam. It has very strong correlation. It was more in the range of Kaplan, and the guy missed the exam. He missed his mark, and if he only had Achievable, he would have felt good. He would have felt good because his scores were high. So that's my only complaint about Achievable is the variance in those practice test scores. And even people who are members of the Achievable occult, Ken Finn and Michael Weiss, people who love Achievable, are always recommending a Kaplan Q bank. And I told you, it's hilarious. We should put this up on one of those betting sites, the over-under, and who's going to initiate litigation first. Michael Weiss went, oh, Achievable should sue you. I go, listen, the guys know me. I know them. Truth is an absolute defense. So, hey, come after me. You know where to find me. Right, so, as I mentioned, Series 10 is a slog. Well, there you go. Finance Robot. Is that right? Finance Robot, yeah. Well, we're sending you good luck. I don't know what you did the first time, but hey, I'm with you. I'm with you in spirit. That 10 is, as I said, a real slog. I'm with you. I told you, I think it's one of the toughest. I really do. Thank you very much. I'll try and get another Series 10 at some point, practice exam up. Boom, boom, boom. Well, I don't know what happened here. So, yeah, I think yard by yard exam is hard for sure. I think we did that. I don't know what's going on tonight with the chat. I think we did that one. Yeah, I'm with you. I think we should have a support group. That looks like you clip the Kaplan cube slides. That looks like the Kaplan slide. I always joke about the men and women. Do I work for Kaplan? I do not. I am a social media influencer. Even people at Kaplan don't know I don't work for Kaplan. My company is called Guru Exam Prep LLC, and I have a contract with Kaplan as a social media influencer. So Kaplan products that are sold off my channel, I get paid on that. You'd be surprised. Ken Finnan thought my channel makes like $1,200 a month, and I hate to abuse him of that, but between AdSense and my relationship with Kaplan, you're talking quite a bit of money, my friend, even for me, a retired, finance guy. So the answer is no. I do not work for Kaplan. In fact, the head of the faculty at Kaplan doesn't understand this relationship, and she was calling me about like a time card or something. I said, you have no clue. I don't work for Kaplan. Kaplan contracts with Guru Exam Prep LLC. That's the relationship. I'm the managing member, and Guru Exam Prep LLC hires me to teach those Kaplan classes. So, I won't be sending you a time card ever. Per stirpes versus per capita. It just depends on the state and depends on whether it's going through your living descendants or through all of your descendants. It's an aim and shoot, point and click kind of question, so I wouldn't let it bother you on the test. I have lots of videos on powers of attorney. Put it into the channel search bar. All kinds of things will come up. Powers of attorney are synonymous with the test with trading authorization. It's very testable to know on all exams the difference between limited and full trading authorization. Limited, I can make decisions about action, asset, amount. With full, I can make a decision about action, asset, amount, as well as withdraw monies and securities from the account. All powers of attorney cease upon the customer's death. Very testable. Depending on what exam you're taking, for me to use discretionary authority on the broker-dealer side, the paperwork has to be in place before the first trade. If it's an investment advisory firm, we can use oral authorization for 10 days before we actually have to get the documentation in place. Very testable. I don't do classes for 65. I do a 66 class for Kaplan once a quarter. Maybe at the end of I don't know when you guys are testing. I used to do evening classes on my booking page, and Kaplan called me one time. What are you doing? I said, just having some fun. Maybe I'll try and put some stuff up in the evenings for some classes. What I usually do is make it a nominal fee of like $25, and then, you can see them on my channel, those classes I do. And the reason it's cheap is that I put it up on the channel. All right, looks like it's time for a drawing. We're past an hour here. Let's see if we got everybody. All right, well, there we go. Ooh. Sales supervisor in the house. Kudos, sales supervisor, branch office manager. If you're still here, I'd be interested to know what you thought about the 9 versus the 10. As you know, we do have some people in the chat. I don't know if they're still here. They're taking their 10. We'd be interested as a victorious test taker what your thoughts are on the 10 versus the 9, that kind of thing. 7 on Saturday, I've been using STC. 2 green lights. I love it. You ready to go? Curious George, go get it, man. Make your mark, man. Yeah, Notman. There's nothing but Notman that I would recommend. Notman is completely sufficient. Tony, Brian Marks, I told you, is a wonderful guy. He does have some Reddits on the just for Notman FINRA. I forget what he calls it. I want to say RKM Series 79. So check out that. He's pretty good at he participates in our 24. That's our Series 24, and he participates in his own little 79 forum there. So if you are with Notman Marks, you are fine, my friend. A needed fun fact for the Series 7. A needed fun fact for the Series 7. Needed fact for some. Let me give that some thought. Let me give some thought. Started just faster Series 7. Yeah, it's meticulous, Lauren. That's an interesting word. I like that word, meticulous. It's its own beast for sure. The phraseology is something else, right? Past the 65. Love it, love it, love it. Taking 68 to 84. Go for it. Go for it. No red flags there. You got a green light, man. Go. Well, I don't know why the chat is repeating. There's something going on tonight in the universe. There you go. Take my SIE in 2 days. You got it, Joseph. I love that. Look at that. Now, look at that avatar. That is a handsome man there. I like that. Look at that tie. I love a guy who knows how to tie a tie. I haven't worn a tie in years, Joseph, but I love it when it's done right. Mistakes are proof that you are trying. I love that. I love that. Do the 7. Do the 7. The 7 first. Your victories you already have. I do the 7. Do the 7. Because 65 has a lot of investment questions. So why not do the 7 and knock out the investment part? Complete the SIE 9. There you go. So it looks like you got 10 coming down. Yeah, 10 is a slog, as we said. It's a real slog for sure. But man, we got some good looking avatars. I like that. Now you look like a shark over there. I don't know if I queue it up with you at the pool table. You look like you know what you're doing. How hard was the 65 for me, or you're asking somebody in the chat? I never took the 65 because I went the 66 route. So I never took the 65. I tutor and teach it, but right when I'm with you. I really think just in general, not just the 6, Don, but once you're in this testing mode, you should just run the table, man. We were just talking about that pool. Look, she's doing her shoot. Where's her setup there? Look at that. Bam, right? Once you knock the balls, man, then you want to run the table and just get all this licensing registration stuff out of the way. So I like a compressed time frame. I guess, Don, I just want to rephrase that. So what I mean by that is, people will tell me they're taking 6 months to take a 7 and like another 6. No. As I mentioned earlier, Don, if I were your corporate trainer, I'd say, okay, we have a testing journey. Let's start there. How long to complete the entire testing journey? And maybe it's we were just talking about it, SIE. Maybe it's SIE 7, 66, 9, 10. Ooh, whatever the testing journey is. And then we establish that. And if you were taking SIE 663, for example, or SIE 663, 65, I'd say 4 or 5 months. And then we reverse engineer. Okay, SIE, 4 weeks out, 5 weeks out, 6, I think you can do rather quickly. And then I think in that sequence, I don't know if you're doing a 65. I don't think the challenge on that sequence, a lot of people are doing SIE 663, 65. The 65 is the major challenge in that sequence. So I'm not sure if you're not going to have to do the 65, but that would be the one. There you go. I love it. just Achievable. Well, I don't think Achievable put you risk at SIE. My comments about Achievable were on their other exams like 7. There you go. All right. I think it's time it looks like we got some more people here, but let me see if I can run this quickly and get to the drawing. If you're participating in the drawing for the coaching call, we've got it up tomorrow, but if you miss that one, I'll put up another one, and that's what you win. You do not win a tutoring session at a date and time of your choice. You earn access to the coaching call. There you go. I thought I was going to feel these pop-ins right on. I love it when that works. A pass is a pass, my friend. So barely passing is a pass. You made your mark. No, 5 days, you don't have time to read the book cover to cover. So watch the video series that I just mentioned, right? Brian and I did a 65 podcast overview of the entire thing. Start there. I had crypto. Yeah, digital assets are definitely there on the NASA exams. There you go. I'm not surprised. Past the 760, just want to hop in, wrote that. You're welcome. Thank you, Kate. We always love victorious test takers coming back and popping in. It's good for morale, right? You're not alone. So the chat, this is every Tuesday. And one of the reasons I started doing this is because I thought, me included, when COVID hit, I thought, man, am I ever going to teach a live class ever again? But we used to do like a cohort of 30, 40 people. We'd be there Monday through Thursday, as I mentioned to you. I just think those days are over to a certain extent. And most people now are on their own. If it's just coming for fellowship and morale, feel free to join us any Tuesday, right? You can, like Brandon, bring your own tequila, bring your own cigar, whatever you'd like to do. Well, thank you. Would you rather be long a calendar spread or short a calendar spread on everyone selling volatility for income and the current stuff? Well, I'm always a believer in shorting the spread because I believe in selling time value. The buyer of an option position has to be right about three things: direction, how far, and timing. Pretty hard to be right about three things. So I like taking the other side of that bet, saying, listen, you may be right about direction. You may be right about timing. You might be right about how far up or down, but I don't think you're going to get all three of those things right. So in general, when I'm trading options, I like to do credit call spreads, credit put spreads, credit calendar spreads. That's just me, and collect the money without taking all the risk. The whole point of a spread, by the way, particularly a credit spread, is to take the money without taking the risk. Cheers. Cheers. Oh, well, thank you so much. Thank you so much. There you go. CFA route. Challenging for sure. I really believe that for sure. I think the 10 and the 65, I think, are two of the toughest exams. 65 for the same reason as 10. It's all over the place. There's not really a narrative thread to the 65. When you come that as a tabula rasa, a blank slate, because you don't have to have any other kind of a background to take that, it's a real challenge. Yeah, well, yeah. What can I tell you? I keep thinking I'm going to raise my price, and at some point I will have time. So it's not working so well. But as I said, I'm trying to make myself available through other means, through coaching calls or jam sessions or office hours, to at least be available in some fashion. 60, get some rest, get some sleep. Okay, it's time for our drawing. Be careful on the drawing, because you don't enter anything into the chat until I tell you it's time, because otherwise you'll mess it up. And so let me go get the Wheel of Fortune, so to speak. Wheel of Fortune. I call it the Wheel of Fortune. It's probably something different than the Wheel of Fortune, but choose live stream. Boom. Okay, so now let me go share that with you. Shared screen. Boom. Okay, put that into the exam or into the chat. Pass. It's got to be exactly as you see it on the screen. If you don't put it in exactly as you see it on the screen, the Wheel of Fortune will not pick it up. So put pass into that thing, and again, we'll do the drawing, and what you win is access to either the coaching call tomorrow if you want to join us, or the coaching call I'll put up after that. $11 last call. We got anybody else? $16 going once. 18 going once. Going twice. 20. Last call. Last call. Okay, nobody else? Okay, here we go. Boom. All right, there you go. So again, the way you collect, let me go back and tell you how to collect. You go to deantenneytutoring.setmore.com. You go to the class tab, and you'll see coaching call for drawing winners. If you don't see it there, don't worry about it, because I'll put up another one. If that one, I don't know how we end up, so, or you can send me an email, but there should be a tab that says coaching call. And then you just bring whatever you want to talk about, Jeff, and we'll knock it out. We'll knock it out. Okay, so remember, inch by inch, your exam is a cinch. Yard by yard, your exam is hard. You take the test, particularly those you taking tomorrow. You take the test tomorrow. Don't let that test take you. And I'll see you next Tuesday, 5 p.m. Arizona time. Bye-bye.